Hi everybody, it's Josh and Simon here. You're watching Time Zones and Time Meters. This week Simon and I are diving into hidden or lesser known gems from our respective home countries. Despite living on opposite sides of the globe, we're both passionate music lovers and excited to share what we've listened to with each other and with all of you guys as well. Hopefully there'll be some new music for all of us to delve into. And personally, I'm super eager to find out what Simon has in store for us today. How are you going?
I'm doing fine. It's morning here. I don't know how is it in Australia?
Yeah,
Evening, I
it's
suppose.
yep, 7:30 p.m. So I think we're like, I don't know, what's that? I think you're behind me by about 14 hours or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it's Sunday night. But yeah. Oh, look, this is a perfect opportunity for me to just bring up a few quick little things. Just for everybody listening, one of our goals is to create a community of like-minded, progressive music heads keen to share sort of where they're from and help us spread great music recommendations worldwide. It's kind of a selfish venture on behalf of both myself and Simon, in that we love music and would love to hear from lots of different people. It's one of the reasons we sort of have this channel. If you're interested in sort of looking us up, you can find us both on Instagram. And if you look up Simon's album reviews, you'll find him. That's it. And he'll put something in the comments
Description.
underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw him commit to that. And for me, you can find me just under Prog Wanderer, all one word. If I guess probably a good disclaimer alert too. Both Simon and I are super new to this, and we'll be looking to improve what we do every single week. But to do it, we'd like to just get a little bit of help from you guys if possible. We're not asking for millions of dollars, don't worry. Would be super appreciative if you could give us a like and hit the subscribe button just to help us sort of spread our message. And hopefully you can tune back next week and we're just that bit better. And then the next week will be hopefully that little bit better until we're like the best podcasters on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyway, that's a long-winded introduction just to say, hi everyone, welcome. We're going to talk about some bands from our country that are hopefully, like a lot of you won't know.
Right. Should I open it?
Yeah, absolutely. You should always open because I talk too much.
Okay. Well, my first band is not super obscure or anything. It has, I think, around 20,000 listeners on Spotify. But I have always had the feeling that they are criminally underrated. I first saw this band in, I think, 2003. I was at the Sweden Rock Festival, which is like a festival with hard rock and metal bands. It's like everything from Status Quo to yeah, Behemoth and black metal acts like that, and everything in between. So like the average band will be metal, basically, well, heavy metal, and I was trying to see as much stuff as possible. I was really into metal, especially. Um, but then I discovered this band that was playing A.C.T or ACT with two with dots in between, and I was just blown away. This could have been in the last episode with 5 albums that changed our lives because uh, I had never heard modern prog music before that wasn't metal. Because I mean, they really have the sound of modern metal. The guitars are very compressed and it's tight. It's super duper tight. Just like metal, but it's not hard at all. It's very I don't know exactly what. I think it's you could maybe compare it a little bit to a more known progressive Swedish band, Flower Kings. Like it's about as hard as Flower Kings are, but it's totally different from Flower Kings, and it's short songs. It's very much storytelling, and I just have to say, go check it out. I, I managed to get every album that they ever put out as well. They started in the 90s. They're still going. And I would say Last Epic, it's maybe is their best album. And the funny thing about it is they have no epics. It's all like 3 minute songs that go into each other. Yeah.
What did you say the band's name was again?
ACT, A.C.T, ACT.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. I'll definitely look these guys up. They sound cool to me.
yeah.
What year do you think that was that you heard them?
I think it was in 2003.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
around that
Uh,
time.
and they're great live as well. Very charismatic frontman and expert musicians.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Um, so my first one that I've got is a band called Heavyweight Champ. So Heavyweight Champ were active from about 1999 to about 2008. So they no longer like do anything, from my knowledge anyway, and they're not even on Spotify. So I think they sort of finished up before that happened, but you can find them on YouTube, which is cool. I've picked up like some hard copy sort of stuff from the band. I was a big fan back early on in my progressive metal kind of discovery time periods. Again, in the last podcast, you and I spoke about the bands that were influential. This is one of those bands as well. They were touring at the time. They grew up in the same city in Western Australia. That's a city named Perth. It's the capital city. They grew up there with the likes of Carnival, and they toured with the Butterfly Effect and a few other bands that I mentioned there too. So these guys were really fantastic. They have a huge sound for a three-piece act, and they're definitely sort of prog-ish. Yeah, they're prog-ish. So they're experimental. They try some different things. Like their last album they released was called Lo-Fi Funeral, and they have an ambitious sort of progressive song on here called The Ancient Art of Being Pushed Away, which I thought was pretty funky and cool. There's a really rocking track called Olympiad, which I thought was just sick when I first heard it. It's got one of those really cool guitar solos, and look, these guys can really play, and I thought they could compose something that was really good too. It's kind of, I guess, a bit grungy. Yeah, but definitely they were sort of a part of that 2005, 2006 kind of prog metal-ish kind of sort of scene in Australia.
It's not
Who
capital P prog, as they say.
No, this one definitely isn't. My next two definitely are, but that first one is, look, I think they're obscure. No one's going to know of them. And if you do look them up on YouTube, you can find them. I think the songs that I love most by them is a song called Filters. And that's just a rock metal kind of track, really, but has some cool stuff in it, some great sort of tempo changes in it too.
I will check that out. Uh, all right. I'll go to my second band.
Mhm.
So obviously another Swedish band. And this is, I would say, this band I also saw at the same festival. This is a band from the 70s, and I guess one of the important Swedish prog acts in the 70s. But like most of those bands, fall away in obscurity anyway, and of course, I guess a lot of the listeners might not be the Spotify generation, so maybe that also explains a little bit. If I look at how many listeners they have, it's only around 2,000. The band name is Trettioåriga kriget. I mentioned them in
You're gonna
last.
have to you're gonna have to
Yeah,
spell that for me.
yeah. I will spell it out. But it means the 30-year war, the 30-year war in Swedish, basically. So
Right.
a war that went on when Sweden was trying to get parts of Germany and stuff like that. It was a long war, obviously, and yeah, that's what it's named after. And it's difficult to say exactly what it sounds like. I think they are very original. Maybe a little bit Genesis kind of ish. If you compare it to the 70s band, I think that Genesis would be one of the more, but it's not quite as technical. It's a bit more laid back, if I put it like that. And and they are still going strong. They of course had like a hiatus between the uh, in the 90s, like most of these bands that has resurrected from the 70s.
Yeah.
There was no market in the 90s unless they changed their music, right? So Yeah, it's one of those bands that came back strong around that time in the 2000s, and they made their old stuff is gold. Their new stuff is golden as well. So I would really recommend checking that out. I will spell it out in the description. But yeah, Trettioåriga kriget. I can really
Yeah,
recommend
cool.
that.
Yeah, cool. My next one's more prog rocky than anything else. This is it's an Australian band. Um, Again, obviously, because I'm Australian, right? Australia.
I am.
And yeah, I think they're from Adelaide, if I remember correctly, and they're really solid. Like they're a really solid prog rock band. Last year, I was reading about the Australian music scene, and within this sort of article, they were mentioning a whole bunch of bands that I knew and recognised, and I was talking about like why it was sort of a unique sort of soundscape that was coming out of Australia at the time. And in the article, they mentioned this band, and I'm like, who the fuck's this? Like, well, I don't know, like, who is this? Who is this? Who are these guys? And so I looked them up last year, and by coincidentally, they just released an album in 2023 as well called, I think it's called Another World. And so, anyway, so I looked them up, and if I didn't mention, their name's Southern Empire, which is easy to remember for like Australians, right? So yeah, but they're technical, they're progressive. I was reading about their influences, and their biggest influences are like Dream Theater, IQ, Transatlantic. They mentioned that Carnival and Steven Wilson were also big influences for them too. But honestly, they're definitely a bit more of the sort of Transatlantic kind of Dream Theater kind of vibe. They've got, I think, a 30-minute epic called, or what would that be called? The Crossroads, which I quite like. But many of the bands I listen to, sort of peak out at about 15 minutes for a song. So, so it's a decent epic as well. It's a good one. Check it out. Lots of different musical influences and sort of sounds that they utilize, which is really cool. So yeah, if those bands like specifically Transatlantic, Dream Theater, IQ, those really stand out to you as something that you like, then maybe check these guys out. They have. So they had a 2023 album, yeah, Another World, and then they also had an album called Civilization, which I think I heard on the prog report. One of the guys from that really, really, really rated Civilization as an album, and so I went back, checked that out, and also checked out their self-titled album, which they released in 2016 too. So they're still around, they're still cheering, and I'm hopefully like on the lookout for when they tour next in Australia, because I'd love to see them live. That'd be really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I should have maybe mentioned that as well. My first pick, they sing in English. My second pick, Trettioåriga kriget, also sing in Swedish. So if you also want to listen to, I guess maybe your band sing in Australian, but it's yeah.
It is funny you say that though, because the Reaching Out is like their first song in the 2023 Another World like album, and there's definitely like, yeah, they sound Aussie. Let's put it that
yeah.
way. The lead singer definitely sounds
Well, that's
Aussie.
fun, right? It's fun when you hear where it comes from. I think.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
I think it's fun when you listen to like these old 70s prog bands, and then you usually have it talk about British prog, right? With
Yeah.
it's especially Genesis, like it's super British.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Yeah, it's fun to hear where it's from.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you also listened to like some Italian prog or yeah,
So I've definitely listened to lots of different places from all over. One of the bands, I can't remember who it was that I was looking up. Is it maybe like maybe Anubis Gate or something? Might be Italian. And they're on my to listen list. But no, like I don't think I actually have any Italian
yeah, yeah,
like
because I mean
bands that
there
I'm
is
super
of course
familiar with.
also I love some. I mean they had a pretty big prog scene in Italy, right? With Italian lyrics, and I even come across like some Turkish prog in Turkish. I think it's so cool when you hear that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw one or two Middle Eastern things which just blew me away, and I thought,
right.
oh God, I have to unlock that. And I think Yeah, last year there's a Greek band called Mother of Millions, and I'll talk about them, like I'll rave about them another time because they're fantastic. So I love, and my favorite bands are like Polish, Swedish, most of the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
anyway. But
And
but
and
no,
I think with Middle Eastern stuff, I'm going to get to my third band, but
oh
with
yeah,
like
yeah, go for it.
with Middle Eastern stuff is of course, and like that area of the world is also a bit known for their, it's different scales, modes, with a two-tone scale, and it's no common with odd time signatures, right? So it's really like a little bit the cradle of what we often appreciate as prog heads. So it's fun to hear it when it comes from the source, so to speak. And of course,
Yeah,
what can be unique about Swedish bands is, of course, the Swedish folk tradition, right? That you hear that kind of
yeah,
music. And I think, uh, just as a between parentheses, Kayak is, of course, a band that includes a lot of folk. Yeah, but anyway, I have lived in the Netherlands for almost 10 years, so I
mhm,
have lost a little bit the insight of the Swedish scene, um, and because I was really struggling with like I need to find a more modern band to mention, and then I thought, well, I have a colleague that I worked with who is he just retired, but I used to talk about prog music with him, so he could give me some insights from the Dutch scenes, and he recommended a band, and this band I am still discovering, that is called Kayak, so Kayak, like a boat,
yeah, yeah.
and this is also a 70s band, and yeah, I guess it's in the um, same category as Genesis, etc. What is a bit funny, I saw that the brother of was his name in Pain of Salvation, Daniel Gildenlöv. His brother, I think Christopher, he also played on the early Pain of Salvation records.
Okay.
He has now joined this band.
Oh, that's good.
Unfortunately, however, I understand that they had their last tour this last year or beginning of this year. So it is now too late to see them live, and they will not release any new records. But so there's still a Swedish connection in there, and
Yep.
apparently he also lives in the Netherlands. Um, but yeah, Kayak, and I think an album that I have enjoyed from them is called Merlin. I think it's from '81, but on Spotify it says something else. And I guess this is the least obscure of the bands that we have mentioned here, because they have around 40,000 listeners.
Mhm.
On the other hand, the Netherlands is a bigger, has twice the
Community.
population of Sweden, so maybe in obscurity it's a bit of the same as, for example, ACT.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool band, absolutely cool band. Yeah,
I'm not sure if I mentioned, but Southern Empire have 5,564 monthly listeners on Spotify at present. So they're pretty small as well, really. So my first two are definitely like a bit smaller. My next one's probably about four times the size. So they're 21,000 people on Spotify at the moment. I know, shock, horror. Still pretty small, really. But in saying that, their name's Lucid Planet, and I only became aware of them at the beginning of this year or end of last year. And they've released two albums. These guys come from Melbourne, Victoria, so I'm picking a different state with each one of mine from Australia. And I heard them for the first time at like a music night with some friends of mine, and a friend put it on, and I just straight away went, "Oh God, that soundscape is freaking cool!" And they are one of those bands that you just listen to straight away, I think, and you'll either love it or you'll go, "Oh, that's not for me." They structure their songs really cool, and their albums like quite complexly as well. They sort of got this dark, multi-layered, complex big, expansive atmospheres kind of vibe. They're very Toolish, right? And someone who likes Tool would probably like this band, but say they're not the same. And so I don't like using that term because, heaps of people tell me that like Riverside sounds like Tool, and I think that's a joke, right? So,
Yeah, but I think but you know what it is often with prog metal bands. Of course, like with in the late '90s, you had Tool and you had Dream Theater with very different sounds. Like one was more heavy metal, one was more grungy, I would say. Tool is a bit more free flowing, grungy, right? And and it is like two sub genres, like the two giants on which the newer bands stand on. It's like either more reminiscent of Dream Theater or more reminiscent of Tool.
yeah, and there's other bands as well that have like took that and ran with it before finding their own identity. Like like Soen, for example, is a great example.
Yeah,
Like their first album
very
is,
Toolish. Yeah,
yeah, very much like that until they sort of found what they do well.
yeah.
But this band has like they've got two albums. Their first album's good. Their second album is stellar. Like it's stellar. It's got like these dark riffs. They build lots of tension. You end up on this journey. They've kind of got like that sort of throat singing thing going on in some of the tracks. There's heaps of space. They pull it back. I read up like how do I describe this band because that's the Josh version, by the way, right? But what I read was they're rhythmic, pulsating, ritualistic, haunted, tribal kind of metal.
So it's
And
like
so
chants and
that's a pretty that look. You should listen to it and find out.
I will definitely do that. Yeah.
But yeah, so their second album, like their first album's called Lucid Planet, like it's a self-titled album, and their second one's called Two, or like like I kind of thing, and the track to check out is the first track on that album, which is Anamnesis, Anamnesis, and their last one is Zenith, which is the last track on the album, and Zenith is like I just put that straight into a favorites like playlist straight away. Like I'd heard it once and just went, "Yeah, you got me." So
Cool.
I'm sort of a bit high on this band at the moment. I'm probably in that honeymoon phase where I'm checking them out and still excited to put them on. But in saying that, they are definitely have a mood, and I'm a very moody listener, so I have to be in the right kind of mood to be able to listen to them as well.
All right.
But yeah, check them out for sure.
All three of these bands sounds very intriguing. I have to. I'm definitely going to check these out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so one simpler, one's and a little heavier, riff driven, sort of deep, sort of loud, sort of voice. Southern Empire, prog rock, and yeah, Lucid Planet, whatever I just said then.
Yeah.
And so they're pretty different. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what you guys and you think, Simon, later too.
Right. And I also have to say, I made I promoted this podcast a little bit on Reddit, and people were also going like, can we what do you call it? Can we give suggestions to what we should listen to? That would be
Absolutely.
super cool, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've spent thousands of hours, what feels like thousands of hours watching like React stuff and for hot takes on new albums and stuff. So I'd be pumped to check out some of that too.
yeah. And I would say type away, and then we'll do a viewers or listeners suggestions episode.
Yeah, so sounds good. And I'm always getting stuff on my Instagram, like from people going like, if you like these guys, check these guys out. And so that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about sort of exploring music and sharing with other people. And I love this new day and age where you can meet with someone from across the globe in a totally different time zone and, talk progressive music and different time meters, right? So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's fun
yeah.
for me.
And it's fun to see because I mean, even though we of course have a lot of bands that we both like, there's also some stuff that we have that we think differently about. So
Yeah.
it's also fun to see what. Yeah, yeah, super cool. I will. We'll aim for that the next time. So I would say add if you got something, just put a comment in the YouTube section in the comment section. That will also work. Or indeed, send us a DM on the gram.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, we might leave it there, Simon. What do you reckon? Peace out to everybody, and we'll hopefully talk to you guys. Well, we're hoping to release like one a week. Try and stick to
Yeah,
that or
yeah,
something.
we're
Yeah,
aiming for
that's
that.
kind of the goal. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see you next week, you guys.
See you next week. All right.
See ya.
Cheers. Uh, where do I have to stop? Where do I have to, we'll cut this away, obviously.